of urgency, 'cause I've got to be free, free to face a life that's ahead of me.
Hey y'all, we're about to do an about face. Back in the other direction. I'm well aware that there's only going to be a small percentage of people who are going to be able to look at this with a completely open mind and be able to connect the dots at this moment.
Out of the chicken, cross the road. Take it from the left to the right.
And some of y'all know some of these subjects that we've covered are 100% real and 100% correct.
He stepped out of range, got hit by a train. He ain't no chicken no more. No.
And some of you are at least going to be able to maintain a hypothetical mindset. Like this is a science fiction movie, right? But let me let you in on a little secret. If you continue down this path, at one point or another, you're going to realize there's more truth in science fiction movies than there is in real life.
What a rush.
It's funny because trying to piece this whole entire story together, I'm always so worried about people keeping an open mind, right? And my goal is always to pique someone's curiosity. Because a lot of times the person will be sitting on a little nugget of information and they'll remember something they learned and they'll start to piece it together themselves. But it occurred to me that even if you think I'm a batch crazy old lady, which I kind of am, even if everything I'm saying, your instinct is to ridicule it and laugh at it and point, take a dig at the old lady you think's been eating Fruit Loops every day of her life.
Follow your nose. Yahoo! It always knows.
That's okay too, because even if you don't believe what I'm saying, ultimately, all truth will be revealed. And some of the things that I said, some of the things that I've shared, will come into full focus and full view for you. So even if you look at all of this from a perspective of this lady's full of it, you'll at least have a concept of some of the things that are going to come together in the future.
You're a fucking genius, huh? Who forged your transcript, dickhead?
Okay, guys. Time to roll up your sleeves and assess where we're at.
Let's take a look together.
We actually have quite a few irons in the fire, and so I'm going to work my way back with where we ended off. And where we ended off was the number one issue that exists in this world right now, and the number one priority that we all should seek to solve immediately. And that is the safety and security of every little one that's born into this world. In my last few videos, we discussed the requirement of the elite, of their blood, to exist. Going through the Emerald Tablets, there's a historical account of how this practice has been going on for many, many thousands and thousands of years.
Lived they in Atlantis as shadows, but at times they appeared among men. When the blood was offered, forth came they to dwell among men.
There's also a rising awareness of the P word, the P word that disgusts and repulses every soulful human being in this world. And you see, we've always been under the impression that that P word and those who practice that P word was just the result of a sick and deviant mind, which it is, but it is also, in fact, the result of an ancient and disgusting religious practice. Because not only blood sacrifices are ritualistic to them, but so is the P word. And the increasing need for the constant supply of blood is not the only thing that they seek from human beings. The production of fear through emotional torture is also a harvestable energy source for the elites.
Oh, I'm feeling good today, Mikey. Yeah.
It's called loosh, and the energy generated from a human being who's in a state of fear and panic is also, in fact, an energy source. So if you take into consideration that human beings have three uses for this hidden enemy. One, our blood, more specifically, not so much adults. And I can't bring myself to really state it, But let's just say the younger, the more pure the blood. And I'll leave that there. And there's the energy generated from fear. Now, whether you believe that or not is irrelevant. And labor. Don't you ever sit back and wonder why it's so hard to keep up? Why the struggle is constant. They like us to struggle. When you take all three of those things into account, the phrase blood, sweat, and tears takes on a whole new meaning, doesn't it? Now, working our way back, there's another crucial point in Mr. Zen Garcia's presentation that I'd like to highlight.
The reason the Atlantis was destroyed is because there was a division among the rebel angels, the Anunnaki. Some were getting involved in dark magic and opening ritualized stargates where things such as victim sacrifice, the blood was being offered, children sacrifice, things of that nature, which was invoking and calling in very dark entities, interdimensional forces.
To hear Mr. Zen speak of interdimensional entities, portals, and stargates, from my world it evokes a sense of curiosity. But in the modern day, those types of topics would be classified as a mystery or in the realm of the unknown. However, if you go back through history and you study different ancient cultures all over the world, it would appear that star people, stargates, portals, interdimensional doorways were commonplace. There's evidence of this all over the world. But in the modern day, we've been convinced that we're the smartest civilization to ever walk the face of the earth. And being convinced of that makes us lazy. And I say that with love and respect, and myself included. It has made us lazy and arrogant, thinking we're the smartest people in the world. This is why the hypothetical mindset is so important, because when Mr. Zen Garcia mentions stargates, it kind of reminds me of the stargate that was found in Iraq in the 1920s.
Iraq has long been known as the location of one of the oldest stargates on planet Earth.
We briefly touched on this a couple videos ago. The country of Iraq is the modern-day location of ancient Sumer. And it's kind of starting to look like Iraq may just be a treasure chest of ancient artifacts. We're talking Indiana Jones level discoveries, because that ain't the only thing they found in Iraq.
Current theory on the Iraqi Stargate places the device beneath the ancient Sumerian city of Ur, the first great city of the world. It is also the site of the Sumerians' grandest temple, called the Great Ziggurat. The Great Ziggurat.
Holy cannoli!
And this is just the stuff we know about, guys. I'm pretty sure that entire region is riddled with physical evidence of a world that once was.
Mesopotamia means between rivers in Greek, referring to the Tigris and Euphrates rivers in what is today known as Iraq. There were 4 main kingdoms in Mesopotamia. Sumer was the oldest one, followed by the kingdom of Akkad, begun by Sargon I. After that, you have Babylonia and Assyria. And even though languages changed and people changed to some degree, the culture that was established by the Sumerians really continued throughout the lifetime of Mesopotamia.
And just as a little personal side note, I think I referred to Sumer as Suma earlier.
So I messed up. Shut up!
Just wanted to make that correction. The discovery and excavation of the Great Ziggurat went largely unnoticed by the world. I know I wasn't aware of it until very recently. But there's something that caught my attention in learning about the Great Ziggurat that really only made sense after I learned a whole bunch of other things.
So we're standing at the bottom of the stairway to heaven. So we're standing at the bottom of the stairway to heaven, and we've just been looking around the excavations that Leonard Woolley did in the 1920s.
So this man referred to that staircase as the stairway to heaven. And on its surface, it sounds just like a catchphrase he came up with off the top of his head to describe something. Fair enough, right? And before we go any further, I'm going to preface this by saying I'm not trying to assign a meaning to what he's saying that may not be there. But I'm not dismissing what he's saying either. And let me share with you why. Hopefully you have your hypothetical thinking caps close by. Let's plop those suckers on our head. In the last few videos, we've been all over the place, subject-wise. We talked about an ancient Sumerian king that was discovered in Iraq. And this was all the way back in 2003. An ancient Sumerian king in what appeared to be very remarkable condition. And I can't say for sure, but I would imagine his DNA was intact. Would you agree? We also touched upon the possibility of entities or beings that were called forth from the, quote, deep below, beings that resided in different dimensions. And according to the Emerald Tablets, blood sacrifices were offered to enable these beings from these different dimensions to enter into this world through portals or stargates. Now, there have been tangible items that have been found in the country of Iraq that would support all of that, including the discovery of King Gilgamesh. Now, we've explored all of those different topics, all of them being linked together. And we've also gone through some biblical literature and other texts and different scriptures. And we've touched upon different words and phrases that have been mistranslated. The one in particular that I'm thinking about right now was in the video I did in response to some comments Mr. Ryan Upchurch had made about the King James Version of the Bible. And we briefly went through just one verse in Genesis, comparing the King James Version of Genesis 1 to the Hebrew Targum. And in that first verse, there's a mistranslation. King James Version of the Bible refers to a heaven. The Hebrew Targum translates to heavens with an S. What does that mean? Heavens. Now, if you yourself have spent any length of time diving into the various Targums that are available, or the Nag Hammadi Library, the Dead Sea Scrolls, you have hopefully developed an understanding of where we are. In the Nag Hammadi Library, it speaks of Jesus descending into this world. And from what I understand, these beings from the lower dimensions, they ascend. So hypothetically speaking, guys, what if the word heavens is the equivalent to dimensions? Because in various other literatures, there are references to many heavens, higher heavens and lower heavens. What if heavens are in fact dimensions? And what if these beings, right, different life forms, could they be aliens? And could these aliens in fact be the angels that were cast out of the higher heavens, sent into the lower heavens? And what if we're stuck in between? And what if these stargates are being utilized, have been utilized, and are being utilized by those who want to conquer this world? And what if the use of these stargates would explain the increasingly growing problem of the transportation of the little ones and the growing demand? It would definitely explain the volume that we're seeing, even if you didn't know all that other back stuff. The sheer number of little ones that are trafficked is straight up effed up. Why such a massive amount? What would require that many little ones? See what I'm saying? And if we want to take a moment to explore the theory of truth in science fiction movies, let's take a gander at this.
I mean, look at this. It says, a traveler from distant stars escaped from a dying world looking for a way to extend his own life. With his body decaying and weak, he couldn't prevent his own demise. Apparently his whole species was becoming extinct. So he traveled or searched the galaxies looking for a way to cheat death. And, look here. He came to a world rich with life, where he encountered a primitive race, humans. A species which, with all his powers and knowledge, he could maintain indefinitely. He realized within a human body he had a chance for a new life. Now, he apparently found a young boy. It says, as the frightened villagers ran, night became day. Curious and without fear, he walked towards the light. Ra took him and possessed his body, like some kind of a parasite looking for a host. And inhabiting this human form, he appointed himself ruler. He used the Stargate to bring thousands of people here to this planet as workers for the mines, just like the one we saw. This mineral is clearly the building block of all his technology. With this, he can sustain eternal life. Now, something happened, where is it, back on Earth? A rebellion or uprising, and the Stargate was buried there. Fearful of a rebellion here, Ra outlawed reading and writing. He didn't want the people to remember the truth.
That clip was from the movie Stargate, released in 1992. Curiously, around the same time Operation Desert Storm took place. So heads up, I'm sure that's going to be a topic of conversation in upcoming videos. But let me summarize what we just went through. The man standing in front of that staircase at the Great Ziggurat referred to that staircase as the Stairway to Heaven. And as rumor has it, the Stargate in Iraq is alleged to be housed underneath the Great Ziggurat. So if the Stargates enable interdimensional travel, could it potentially mean that Stairway to Heaven is also a stairway to a dimension? And heads up, guys, I know that this video is going to run a little long, but there's one crucial point that I wanted to make in this video, because these videos are about the greatest president in my lifetime. So I'm hoping what I'm about to share will open your mind to a few possibilities. We just discussed the possibility that the concept of heaven or heavens are the equivalent of dimensions. Now, I'm no physicist, but I know that different theories of time and space and dimensions and parallel universes, all of those things have been explored. I'm pretty sure explored to a degree that most of the human population in this world has zero clue about.
Time's funny stuff, Pete. A lot funnier than Einstein ever figured out.
So take a moment, if you will, to consider that heaven or heavens are actually dimensions, and that interdimensional travel through stargates, what have you, would involve time and space, this world being subject to the laws of the third dimension, time. And what if the concept of space to us differs from their knowledge of time and space? And what if that knowledge, number one, bring everyone to the conclusion that the possibility of being, quote, invaded by, quote, aliens from outer space would be impossible. Furthermore, we'd all realize that took place a very, very long time ago, and we've been unknowingly dealing with it for a long time. Sounds kind of ominous, doesn't it? Unless there's hope in some special people, a special group with special skills.
What I do have are a very particular set of skills
And special resources to be able to correct the wrongdoing that has taken place unbeknownst to us. Could that be a possibility? What do you think the Space Force is for? I told you, the greatest president in my lifetime.